Hello, my name is Piotr Vnuk and I'm a deputy editor for Labels and Labeling magazine. Today I'm grabbing my afternoon coffee with Paul Johns, who is a sales and technical director at Skanem UK. Paul, it is a pleasure to sit down with you for a few minutes and thank you very much for your time. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. And
Great.
yourself?
Skanem is one of the world's probably biggest printer groups. It is headquartered in Norway, but it has got several production sites even as far as Kenya or Thailand. Our readers might know you, Paul, from Labels and Labeling magazine. You have recently contributed your valuable knowledge and opinion about the beverage labeling market. Um, but the reason for this call is not really your extensive experience or knowledge today. Today, I want to talk to you about anything but work. Could you please let me know a little bit about your career as a rugby player?
Okay, like a typical Welsh guy. We only ever played rugby at school. We weren't actually allowed to play football or any other sports. And to be honest with you, I'm a little bit too big for other sports. I'm nearly just under 6'3".
Wow.
So I fit rugby quite well. So I played competitive rugby, the usual thing: school rugby, district, counties, and I also played quite senior level rugby, for a club, sort of as if rugby was just turning professional. So I started playing there. I was playing there, but again, as a senior player, I played at a district, county, and even crochet level and South Monmouthshire level, which is not as a full international, but a little bit below.
Wow. Well, that sounds really exciting. But rugby is not the only sport you treated quite seriously in your past. I hear you're also an ex-British Taekwondo champion. That sounds very impressive.
Yeah, I think that if you've ever played rugby, martial arts is actually quite a good sport to go into after once you've retired, because you don't mind the conflict and you don't mind actually being quite close to somebody and banging heads and fists and knees and elbows. And I just think that my success came from that, really. I think that I just wanted to, I had quite a few injuries from rugby, so I took up martial arts, and I found that I quite liked the sparring, getting into a ring with somebody who wanted to compete as well, like-minded person. But I didn't want to take my foot off the gas. I just wanted to keep competing. And yeah, unfortunately, I got up to sort of English, Welsh, Irish, and Scottish champion, and I also ended up becoming British champion in the non-Olympic version, the traditional version of Taekwondo. So yeah, I did that for a few years, and then children came in, so I had to take a sort of foot off the gas a little bit there.
Right, but then you say you throttle the gas a little bit, but I'm also hearing that from martial art, you swapped the martial art to a bike saddle, and I guess if we're lucky enough, we can probably see you these days touring and racing UK roads. Tell me more about that, because I know there's an impressive amount of miles you cycling every year.
Yeah, I had in the around 10 years ago, I had a hip replacement, so I was basically told to stop martial arts and really and combative sports of any kind, really throw myself around. And I was told that to start cycling, which I had done before just for fitness, but really to go as hard and as long as I possibly wanted to, because it was low impact for my hip. So I started riding for a local club and racing, and I do time trials. I do 100-mile races, and luckily, I think 2 years ago, when I was on my 50th year, I qualified in the UCI Grand Tour race to ride for Team GB in my age category, in 50-year-old category, and raced in Poland, 100-mile race. So I was able to put on a GB kit and represent Great Britain, which was a great achievement.
Wow, that sounds really, really impressive. Um, but I also hear that not only sports is something what you're interested in. I hear that you're also making your first steps in the show business.
Show business.
The show business. I hear that you're also helping to manage
Oh,
your
sorry.
son's
Yes.
band.
Yeah. Well, not myself personally, but My son, yes, my son is 15, and I have three boys, and my eldest is in college playing music, playing drums, and my other son who's 15, he also plays drums, but he decided during just before lockdown to start playing the guitar, and he's part of a band, and he's one of these people who just can teach himself music. He's taught himself how to play the guitar. He now plays lead guitar in a grunge punk band called Primitive Soul. Literally within a year, they've been picked up by a record company called Repeat Records in Swansea, and they have had an EP. They released the EP on Thursday, June the 4th, and on Saturday, June the 6th, they were actually played on BBC Radio at late night in a grunge punk radio station. And at the same time, within a week, and then on the same weekend, on the Sunday, they were awarded EP of the week for vinyl records as well from BBC, BBC Wales. So they've done extremely well. So I'm helping promote and get them some gigs and manage them guys going forward with studio time and the rest.
Wow. Wow, it just seems to me that whatever you touch, there's no shortcuts, and everything you touch turns into success.
Well, I think it's like anything. You can take a lot which we've learned from our industry and our business and apply it to other things, just to make sure that the lads don't fall down any holes, because they're
Right.
super excited and super keen, and sometimes you just have to maybe manage their expectations a little bit. But their EP was released on, say, June the 4th, and within 3 hours, the vinyl was sold out. So yeah, they're doing really well. So I'm pretty proud of them, and so is the other parents. But yeah, we're just trying to make sure that we can get them the right gigs, and yeah, we get them compensated.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so doing really well.
That is a great news. But also, I have an impression that many people watching this video might say, "There's no way I would ever have time to do all Paul does in his spare time." What's the secret? How do you really manage to juggle your work and life balance? I mean, your position is quite responsible. It's a huge company, and on the side, you do all this. You do sports. You got band management. How do you connect the two? How do you find the time?
I think as a senior leader within the business and a dad, you've also you also got to make time. I think the mornings are a dead time for people. They tend to lay about in bed. I'm not that kind of person. I'm usually up at 5 a.m. in the garage training on the turbo trainer on Zwift, and smashing the miles in, and then maybe a couple of times now in the summer I'll be out racing in the evenings. But I think that if you expect your family to wait for you while you're on the bike, I think it's unfair. I think you need to make time. So on the weekends, I'm up usually very early doing 100-mile rides or something, starting at sort of 5:30 in the morning to get back so that we can still plan the rest of the weekend. Be dad's taxi, be dad's bank account. But I think that you have to invest in yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you. So if you want to stay in bed, then you're going to miss time that you can be investing in yourself. What I mean by investing is well-being, so fitness, training, taking a bit of time just to think about the day, what's going to come ahead, and what are the things you need to juggle in your work-life balance.
Right. That sounds very reasonable. Quite difficult to achieve, I assume, but it is doable, as we can see. Paul, I also wanted to ask you, there's lots of talk recently, especially now in the COVID times where we work from home and we've got very limited access to social sort of part of work. Do you think the well-being talked about recently is also very important? Well, my question really is, does your passion help you to perform better work?
Absolutely. The amount of times that I've been extremely stressed because of maybe doing something multinational wise, and different cultures interpreting different things, and you could just blow up on a conference call, frustration, or even with the colleagues, and to get out and go on the bike and ride around and spend an hour and a half talking to yourself and just processing everything, and you come back far more calmer, far more relaxed, and you also understand, you take time to see it from other people's side. So you don't let it build up inside you, and going out and giving yourself a bit of a kicking on a bike, doing hill repeats, it releases the stress and the anxiety. And so that's what I keep trying to say. You need to invest in yourself. It's not just about being, I'm fitter and I'm 52 and I can ride 100 miles and this. It's about your brain and about getting those endorphins, because you always feel better. It's like when you start to do a race or to do a time trial, you feel this is going to really hurt, but as soon as you finish, you feel, I want to do that again. And it allows you to chemically process everything much faster, much better, and breathe easier.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. That's a very great answer. And sort of other way around, do you think that skills you gained through playing rugby or Taekwondo, or even cycling, or even managing your son's band, do you think you can use those skills in your professional career?
Absolutely. So I'm a level 3 rugby coach. There's actually 4 levels to like the international coaches. Obviously, they're a lot more skilled than I am by a long way. But in theoretical, I qualified to a level 3. And the skill sets you learn to deal with people of all ages, whether it's children or whether it's very senior people, is not to tell people what to do. It's to ask people what went wrong and how can we improve, because you can guarantee you 99% of the time your team will have the answers, or the management team will know what the answer is, why it went wrong. And the first thing is, well, how can we improve it? So they'll say we should do X, Y, and Z. Fantastic. Okay, so let's do that then. You haven't told them to do anything. And what you're actually doing at the same time is, one, you're giving them confidence to make their own decision and become leaders within the business. And I think something that I learned from rugby is that you need to make sure that you have internal leaders on a rugby team on a field. They can't look at the coach, what should we do now? They need to make that decision in the heat of the moment. And if you apply the same thought process to management, so rather than going in and going, right, sales are down, we're going to be doing this, you're saying, right, guys, sales are down, right, what went wrong? What can we do better? And how can we support each other to get those sales in? Then it's a different thing. We're talking we own it, not you. And it's a big difference. And I think you get a lot more buy-in and ownership from people to come on that journey with you. And we own that problem or that success. So we win together and we lose together, just like any sports team.
Great analogy. Paul, it was a great pleasure chatting with you. I know you must be busy, you must be quite stretched, but it was a pleasure chatting to you about your passions outside work and how they connect with your professional life. So thank you again for your time, and I guess I'll better let you get on with your day and perhaps your next bike ride.
Yep, this evening. There's a race in this evening. Okay, thank you very much for your time, Joshua.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and make sure to click the subscribe button at the top of the screen. You can see more videos from this playlist by clicking the video on the right, or click the video on the left to see all of our other videos.